What's up, everybody? I figured today we should probably talk about the 1.5 year hero credential event trading spot, because there are items here that that hold more power than others. For instance, we have where is it? Well, we have Lily's items in here. So for anybody that pulled Lily that didn't manage to get her items, you kind of have a chance. Personally, for my Lily build, I only took one of these. Unless you really want your Lily spamming both light and dark, you know, I suggest at least getting one of these, because either one of these powers Lily up quite a bit with that one element. For the light one, light critical attacks lower enemies' light resistance. So the dark one does the same thing for the dark element. This is a huge deal for Lily, though. Lowering that resistance, that's going to help her get to damage cap, because Lily needs to do that. Her special ability is, I forget what it is off the top of my head, and I don't have Lily on this account, but she takes like a 40% damage decrease in order to double the number of hits. So you get twice as many hits that only do 60% of the damage, so you're still coming out ahead. So lowering your enemy's light resistance is going to, do a lot for her, because she's already getting that damage cut. But this is just one example. Lily is a good choice to power up in here. Probably the other best item set in here is the twin bolt, and well, both of the twin bolts. These are for Thunder Sevia, so anybody that wants to use Thunder Sevia, here's the thing. I've made videos about this. These are the most powerful weapons in here. If you actually look at the abilities that these give you, physical attack damage is increased by number of hits up to 50%, which it's very easy for her to get a very high hit combo. And then the other one, Thunder Sevia, only hit point recover effect of skills and specials plus 50%. Recover some SCT when using healing magic. These are the most powerful weapons. It's like they took Thunder Sevia and they locked 30% of her power away behind a paywall. So this might be a good bet for anybody, because you probably have Thunder Sevia. You may have pulled her along the way. She is going to get the biggest power boost out of anybody that has items in this shop. Like these items, the twin bolts, they quite literally are like 30% of that character's power. And if you don't have both of these, I really can't say that she's a top tier character without these, because these two weapons have so many freaking abilities. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the Scarlet Blade Glasberg. This is for Zuglis. This is for Zuggy. And this thing, in my personal opinion, is a complete ripoff. First of all, it's 50 of the hero credentials instead of just 25. Now, I don't know why it's like this. I think Zuglis was like one of the first characters to drop with gear like this, and then they started doing this system. If I recall correctly, I could be wrong, but maybe that's why his is so outpriced. Instead of doing two items for him, they just put this sword up. But for 50 of these, you could get both of the twin bolts for Thunder Sevia and give her a huge power boost. Or you could get Zuglis a sword that's 135 strength, okay? And it's dark element, and the only ability on it is chance to reduce enemies' defense with regular attacks. This is nothing all that crazy, in my opinion. Now, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe he reduces the defense by 80% or just something stupid like that. But I really don't think that's the case. I think you can get a similar effect on a character for a few SC. So this pretty much boils down to being 135 attack dark sword, and we can get better weapons, better dark element weapons for a character like Zuglis. I honestly think that this is the most underwhelming weapon in this shop, and it literally costs the most. So the Cosmic Pop is in here. This is for Tinkili. The duration of buffs cast by you plus 20% when special activates recovers a skill's SCT once. This is pretty solid for her because of the duration of buffs cast by you by 20%. If you are going to actually rock Tinkili, if you really like the way that she supports, if you like her S4 powering up your other characters, this may be something that you would want. Comparing the Cosmic Pop to Zuglis' sword, it's like night and freaking day, okay? Both of these things cost 50 of the hero credentials, but hers is a lot better, okay? Just if you look at the actual ability of it compared to Zuglis's, Zuglis gets to reduce some of your armor. This thing increases buffs cast by you by 20%. That already craps all over Zuglis' sword on its own, because that is what that girl does, is she throws buffs. So getting an extra 20% on the duration of those is absolutely wonderful. All right. Here we're kind of at a sore spot here because we have the Crimson Edge and this what is Zex's hat, or it's an accessory. I think it is a hat. Yeah, he wears this thing on his head. It's this crazy little crazy man crown. It's this tinfoil hat. Yeah, these, I guess you kind of have to decide what you're doing with your Zaix. I always want to say his name wrong. The point is, these are great items for him if you're going to do a damage build, if you're going to actually use him to clear content. If you're using him to farm and to get Trick Wrist to proc, these really aren't that big of a deal. Let's see, his sword, physical attacks from behind, boost break, damage to feint or enemies and break plus 15%. This is great for killing enemies, but it's not good for farming. You're just gonna kill stuff. Let's see what his accessory does. When evasion is activated, strength plus 35% and boost movement speed for a certain amount of time. Oh man, I used to love this thing. I would love it when that procced. He teleports away, and he gets a giant 35% boost to his strength, and he comes back just kicking up dust and just destroying everything. I absolutely love this item on him. But again, that's for clearing content and for killing bosses and things like that. If you're using him to farm, these items are pretty much going to get in your way when you're farming with Zex, because, well, when I farm with him, even on Nightmare content, I take his weapons off. He doesn't need to actually hold a weapon to increase his chance of Trick Wristing. Only Dark Robin needs to do that because he actually relies on his critical stat and scoring critical hits in order to steal items, extort items from the enemy. Zex doesn't have to do that. He just has to hit people from behind. He just has to get that backstab in there. So he doesn't need to equip a weapon. You can make his attack a lot lower. That makes him more effective in farming. Don't get me wrong, even without a weapon, that guy is absolutely still going to shred enemies. Yeah, even without enemies, his skills are so powerful. There's so many hits, and they just have high modifiers all around that he's still going to have no problem killing enemies, but at least you're going to get to hit him a few more times and try to get a few more backstabs to proc before you finish them off, and that increases the likelihood of you actually proccing Trick Wrist. So for this character, you kind of have to decide, are you going to really use him to clear bosses? And if you are, that's perfectly fine. He's a very powerful character for that. But if you're really just using him to grind materials and to farm, which there's nothing wrong with that because that's what I was doing, and you really don't need these, okay? Then we have the Dalgion Smasher and the C&D Golem Core. You know what? If you absolutely love this character, if you love that little girl and her golem, some of these aren't bad. C&D put into break recover, break 20% slower. Okay, yeah, this one, Because it makes enemies recover from break 20% slower, that's actually a big deal. Like, this can increase the amount of damage your whole party can do, because when the enemy gets broken, the enemy's broken for longer. So your whole team gets a bigger window to cram in as many skills and combos as they can to really bank on an enemy's break. So the smasher here is pretty good. A lot of people are just going to kind of frown away from this character, though. I would get the smasher if you're really planning on using her, if you just really like her design. This whole other thing, clear defense and mine 5%, additional defense and mine 5% when mode explode activates. This thing's kind of worthless. Personally, I wouldn't even look at the golem core. The thing's kind of worthless. We have this Clow. Who is this for? This is for Dilmordo. That's right, Ray's little buddy, who is not Super Saiyan. At battle start, temporary boost to SCT recovery speed. Physical attacks boosted and followed by fire attack. I mean, this thing's pretty gnarly because it's going to give him that SCT recovery, which is really what that guy wants to power his kit up. But this thing is not the end of the world. It doesn't even have an attribute on it. I actually would have thought that this would have had fire on it, since he's all about that fire life and breaking fire resistance. I don't think you absolutely need this for that character. If anybody thinks I'm wrong, please leave me a comment. But this pretty much just boils down to 130 attack claw that's going to give him some SCT recovery speed. Physical attacks boosted and followed by fire attack. So I guess when you do an attack, it'll be followed by a fire attack. I don't know if this is basic attacks, but yeah, I don't know. We can discuss this one, but I don't think it's necessary for that character. All right, so now we get down here to Roland, Prince Roland. What am I thinking? Yeah, we get down here to Roland's gear. This is kind of important for me personally. His Imperial Mail, his armor. All this thing really does is, okay, it's 115 defense, which is pretty much nothing as far as armor is concerned. This is a 5-star item. But it does give you 20 strength. I could really care less about the 20 intelligence. It's really not going to make or break Roland. The 20 strength is nice. Here's the thing. It gives his charisma ability an extra 5% to strength and intelligence boost. Now, really, to me, that's really not worth it. It's not, because you're going to put like some real beefy tanky armor. I mean, you could even go get the pumpkin armor that we just got from the Halloween arc. That thing has 170 defense. It's going to make Roland way more effective as a tank, personally, I think, than this. It also increases his chance of being targeted, which is what you want from your tank. So for Roland, unless you absolutely love using his charisma ability, and maybe that's the thing too, is his charisma ability used to be a little bit more sought after when it first came out, but it is what it is. It's okay, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have, but I don't think the extra 5% is really worth anything here. Really though, his other item, the accessory, the Imperial Graves, these things are a big deal. They're giving him a little bit of hit points, they're giving him 30 defense, and they're giving him strength 30. It's nice just to have that strength on an accessory slot for Roland. Cool. But here's what it really does for him, and I think this is kind of a big deal. It boosts his movement speed, that's okay, but chance to nullify enemies' crits. This is really important for Roland because he kind of serves as that tank, that barrier between your casters and the enemy. And also attribute weakness boosts and killer and slayers boost. So this is a lot. Like, this is a whole lot. This can nullify crits, so he has a higher chance to survive some nasty damage. Attribute weakness boost. That's great for a tank. And it's also going to give him a killer and slayer boost. So this is working for him defensively and offensively. I don't think you can really compare these items. If you look at these greaves and the ability that it has on it, the two abilities plus the extra boost of movement speed, if you compare that to his armor, which just increases his charisma ability by an extra 5%, I don't really think there's much comparison here. The armor gives you 20 attack. The boots give you 30 strength. So personally for me, this is why I got into this menu. I've been running Roland for a while. He's kind of been my main squeeze tank, okay, until I got me a little side piece named Ray Ray yesterday. He's going to definitely be a tanky monster as well. I feel like the only real thing that I really missed for Roland is when I pulled him, I didn't pick up these greaves. I didn't pick up this accessory for him. And I've been mulling it over for a while and kind of looking into these things, and I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a big deal. Makes a big deal for Roland. And since I pretty much re-rolled this account to have Roland and his arc, and I've been using Roland, I also have the UR arc Trustmaster, which is that awesome holy sword that just takes Roland to a whole nother level. I'm actually going to get these bad Mamma Jammas. They're totally worth it if you are a strong Roland player. Okay? So that's why I got in here. We have Balin's sword in here. Now I used to own this thing, so let's take another look at it. Chance for physical crit attacks to slightly recover SCT. That's very nice because that's always going to proc because Balin has a high crit. When one weapon is equipped, physical crit rate plus 5%. So that's adding a lot to crit, and it's adding SCT recovery to crits. That's really good for Balin. This is going to keep him fed. It's a great weapon for him. It does cost 50 of the hero credentials by itself, right? But, it's 135 strength. It's going to feed him a little bit, and it's going to increase his crit by 5%. If you have something better than that, I mean, just equip that because all he needs is a non-attribute sword. So this one's debatable, especially for 50 of the hero credentials. Loga. There's a lot of Loga players and a lot of people that put a lot into Loga because of what he can do. His Holy Tree Blade is absolutely phenomenal. I'm seriously debating whether or not to get this thing. It's 125 strength, but time of status effects dealt lasts 10% longer, which is a big deal for Loga because he needs those status effects to get his full damage. So the longer that status effects last, the longer Loga's going to be able to keep dishing out that crazy damage, and the longer your enemy is affected by like these breaks and status weaknesses, that makes the enemy just weaker in general against your whole party, not just this guy. But the most important thing is damage to enemies with status effect plus 20%. There's plus 20% to all his damage when somebody's in status. That is what makes the Holy Tree Blades so awesome. It's really that 20%. And that goes a very long way for him. So anybody that has Logo is just kind of sitting in the on the bench and they're just kind of mulling around what to do with him, or somebody trying to build him, this guy can actually clear a ton of content. He's still top tier. He's still up there. It's really hard to measure his power because he's fundamentally different than pretty much all the other breakers and stuff in the game. Everybody else breaks stats. This guy gives you ailments, so he's kind of a different breed. And I think these Holy Tree Blades, they honestly take him to a whole nother level. Now, you can get his Tree Whisker Blades, or whatever they're called. You can get those from the Crimson Ore Shop. So right now, here's everybody's chance to get the Holy Tree Blades. I do think that currently they are like one of his best in slot items because you really can't go wrong with that, that extra 20% to damage. So that's what I'm going to say about that. He also has the Holy Tree Gauntlet, which is an accessory. Every 60 seconds, activate a barrier that nullifies basic status ailments, and it's going to give you some hit points, minor defense in mind. It's going to give you 10% resistance to the green attribute. Yeah, I don't think the Gauntlet, I don't think this accessory even holds a freaking match to the Holy Tree Blades. For that character, I would just get the Holy Tree Blades and exit the store, because the gauntlets, I mean, these things are so easily replaceable. If anybody wants to argue that, leave me a comment, but I really don't think they do all that much, right? And then we just have some items for, Angel Luciol? Yeah, Angel Luciol. We have the Seraph Spear. Regular attacks deal extra thunder damage, cool. But what I like about this is it's more break from thunder attacks. So actually taking this girl to a boss fight, and while she's staying in the back, she's doing more break with her thunder attacks, and everything that she does is thunder. So effectively, this gives her a nice strength boost, some int. It gives her MP, which she really needs, and a little bit of mind, and it increases how much she breaks. That's actually very useful for the girl. And this is actually a really great item for her. When she first came around, I got the other one. But for me personally, if I was going to go back in here, I would maybe look at the Seraph Sphere, personally for me, because Guardian Angel Luciol is such a relevant character right now as far as being a healer and supporter, and she can do a ton of damage too if you set her up the right way. Her S4 is just genius for getting through enemy thresholds, and overall I just really like the character. I was really surprised by the new form of Luciol, the angel form. I didn't think she was going to be that powerful. She's pretty much right up there with Shin. I've seen some crazy builds for her. And then, of course, Loga with the Holy Tree Blades. This guy is a content clearer. He's definitely towards the very top of the tier list, if you guys want to call it that. And he's great for clearing bosses, clearing content, stuff like that. So if I was going in here, I would probably be trying to power up a unit like that. And of course, you can't really go wrong with Roland, which is why I picked up those boots of his. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. So these things are up for grabs. You do have to get these hero credentials though. So I rolled everything I had, and this is what I had. I had like 25 of these things. Actually, I had 30 because I got 5 left. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's it, boys and girls. Make your choices wisely. It is cool that they finally let us have a chance at getting some of these items back. And we've had to wait a long time for this. I honestly didn't... I was very surprised to see these things in here because we've been playing Last Cloudia the whole time. This is the first time these items have started coming back. So we've waited a year and a half, so if you're missing one of these items and you can't get it now, you might be waiting another year and a half. Who knows? Maybe 2 years. I don't know. But I figured we would kind of go over that because there's probably some people that have some of these characters maybe sitting on a bench and they wanted to work on them, and they're probably trying to decide, which one of these items to go through and get, and it makes a big difference because, like I said, some of these items are just more worth it than others. Some of these items you're just going to replace with Trust Masters from SR arcs. So what's the point in spending 25 to 50 hero credentials to getting one of these things that you're going to replace? And for other characters like Thunderbolt Sevia, there is no replacement. They've literally made it so that a good portion of that character's power is locked behind these specific items, and these items are up right now. So anybody that really wanted to use Thunderbolt Sevia, this is your chance. This is your chance to unlock her full power. It is going to take you 50 of those hero credentials because you are going to want both of those swords. Which order you get them in is up to you if you're only getting one of them, but Thunderbolt Sevia is affected by this the most. And of course, she's a non-limited character, so a lot of people are going to have her sitting on the bench. I probably have her on this account. In fact, I know I have her on this account because I was just looking through my Thunder weapons probably a couple weeks ago. And if I was really going to use her, guys, she makes an awesome medic. She does great damage, especially with those weapons. When she gets a 50 hit combo, she gets like 50% to her damage, which is huge. So she's great at getting a combo and keeping it going. And she's also healing the rest of your team while she's doing damage to the enemy. So she becomes very useful. She's a very good medic. She's a very powerful non-limited character, all right, but she's only very powerful when you have those two weapons. I've covered this in some of the old vids, so if you guys want more details and more detailed explanation about the whole thing, you can go check those out. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You know, they dropped her as a non-limited character, but they just decided to seal 30% of her power behind a paywall through the items. And luckily for us, they didn't make a practice out of this. It's like they only did it with her. Maybe they didn't like the feedback that they got from us as a community, because I know a few people weren't happy about it. But luckily, they kind of stopped doing that. So I was very happy for that, because, you know, it's kind of bullshit if you pull a character, if you get lucky enough to pull a character that you actually want to run, and then come to find out that character will never be anywhere close to best in slot if you don't have these weapons that you had to pay for. Man, that really kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth, and that is the first thing I thought of when I actually pulled Thunderbolt Sevia on this account. But hey, anybody that wanted to use her, those items are up. You can rejoice. So best of luck to everybody, and we still have plenty of time left in this event. I've talked to a few people that they wailed a little bit. They didn't get anything yet. Guys, think of the end of this last collab we had. Think about how many tickets we got. On the last day alone, I think I scored 17 tickets. I had a 10 pull, and I had 7 single tickets. Okay, so everybody stay positive. This is only day 2 of the 1.5-year anniversary. I'm sure there's going to be tickets all over the damn place, so just kind of hold out for those. And I don't want to hear anybody complaining until the very end. Peace, everybody. I'll talk at you soon.